Shall I start, Steph? Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first community development meeting for 2022. Great to be back. I would just like to, I guess the first thing is apologies, and today we have no apologies, but we have Steve Bowski, an apology for lateness.
Hopefully.
I'm happy to move that.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, have we actually had an apology from him? Because there's been no contact.
No.
If we haven't had an apology sent through, we can't take one.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just texting him to see where he's at.
Well, I'll leave that at there were no apologies, and we'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. I take it that you've all had a read over those. Were there any items that anyone would like to bring up in particular? Otherwise, did we have a mover for those?
Yes, Madam Chair, happy to move that. That the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting held on the 28th of October 2021 be adopted as a true and correct record.
And a seconder, Alison. All those in favour? Passed.
Heather, do you mind just saying the page number when we're on things? Because some of us are shuffling several devices.
I know, and I feel weird not looking at everyone when I'm talking. I'm much the same, Alison. So I'm now on page 3 of the agenda, notification of late items. And there were no notifications of late items. And declarations of interest. Did any councillors have any declarations of interest with regards to this morning's meeting? No declarations of interest. Then we move to item number 6, the 6.1 Minimisation Youth Council annual report. So I'd like to open this up to Zoe Lister, the Youth Council chairperson. Really cool that you could join us this morning, Zoe, and well done for making it and finding out how to work the Zoom and everything. So I will hand it over to you to present your report.
Thank you. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Zoe. I'm the newly appointed chairperson of the Manawatu Youth Council. And this morning I understand I'll be sharing with you what us as a youth council have been up to over the past year and how we've had to adapt and develop our events under COVID restrictions. So the Youth Council has been operating since 2020. Our previous chairperson, Luca Luoni, he did an amazing job of establishing our council and setting me up for this role of chairperson. This year we have 7 fabulous new members who are all bringing something fresh and exciting to the table, and I'm chuffed to be working with them all this year along with the existing members we have as well. Last year the Youth Council managed to achieve a number of things, most notably the ability to overcome challenges and restrictions in place due to COVID. We held a number of events which were all a success despite the tireless efforts behind the scenes to make them happen. We had our annual Young Achievers Awards, which was run over two sessions last year to cater for the sheer numbers we were hosting. Celebrating the success of youth in our community is of great importance to us in the Youth Council. So it was a no-brainer to adapt this event in order to keep it running. We received 142 stunning nominations, which is the highest number we've ever had, and also introduced the inaugural Exceptional Leadership Award, which was awarded to the wonderful Carter Pugh from Corpany School. We also held our first ever youth festival during Youth Week, which proved popular despite the freezing weather in the town square. This will be an annual event and we're looking forward to progressing with planning for this later in the year as we near the warmer months. Sadly, our popular colour run had to be postponed and we hope to host this as soon as the COVID levels allow. The Mayor's Task Force for Jobs funding we were ever so grateful to receive also had to be push forward to this year, and we are planning to offer a careers event for youth, which we're super excited for. As for this year, we have had to make continual adjustments and now hold all of our meetings on Teams. This has been a challenge for all of us and can sometimes mean that engagement and communication is compromised in order to keep us all safe and tucked away at home. We've had 2 formal meetings with a training session in the middle for our new members. Steph has kind of developed a cheat sheet, if you will, which we both delivered on a 3rd Teams call. Our goal was to help educate our new members on council conducts, terms of reference, and general happenings in the often confusing world of formal council. The feedback from this was exceptional, and we will therefore be offering this in the years to come as well. None of these amazing things can have happened without the support of the council and the wonderful committees like yourself and our support people, Councillor G. Taylor and Councillor Casey, who always provide us with the wisest of opinions and guidance to make the right choices for our council. We obviously also have amazing councillors who get stuff done, and the wonderful superwoman that is Steph, who has been my absolute rock, not only so far this year, but last year also. So thank you for inviting me to come and speak. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm super excited for this year, not only chairing, but being a part of the Manawatu Youth Council as well.
Cool. Thank you so much, Zoe. I don't really have any questions because I obviously see you guys most weeks, but I'm just wondering if there's any other CDC members out there that might have some questions for Zoe around what the Youth Council have been up to and going forward, maybe. Alison.
Well, not so much a question, but more an accolade. I was involved behind the scenes at the Young Achievers Awards, and it was right when COVID levels were changing, and it was changing minute by minute. Even we were allowing people to sit, changed.
Yeah.
When we saw how many people were coming in, and it was very difficult to manage under those conditions, but pulled it off really well. And it was great to see so many nominations and so many schools involved.
Thanks, Alison. Anyone else? Helen.
Thank you. Well done, Zoe. And yeah, it's been great to watch and assist where I can with Youth Council. And I think the really good thing is for our young people to actually see what it's like when you're trying to put things together and they don't happen, and how frustrating that is. And it's learning to go with the flow and jump in when the opportunities arise. So well done to you and your team. And I've watched the way that you've stepped up as well through the Youth Council. So congratulations. And yeah, let's hope we get out the other end of this soon, and looking forward to getting back into some of your events.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I don't actually believe that we have a motion on that.
Lynn has got a hand up.
Oh, sorry, Lynn. I'm watching everything at once. Lynn, go ahead.
Thanks, Heather. Morena, Zoe, we haven't had a chance to meet yet, but I'm the GM of Community at the Manawatu District Council, and I just want to do a shout out for you. That was a really good presentation. It's difficult on Zoom, and you were clear and precise, and I just want to do a shout out for you because that's not easy. And well done, really impressive.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. Well done, Zoe. It's you're doing well, and it's you can't tell that you've only had a couple of meetings under your belt as chairperson. To be fair, it's like you've been doing it for years. So well done.
Thanks.
Okay, well, I guess we acknowledge that. Someone else just put their hand up.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, Alison.
Sorry, not trying to stretch it out. Zoe, what are the plans for the Youth Council this year? I know it's very hard trying to plan things, but there's a little bit going on in the council consultation space that might interest you. And the next one coming up is the waste minimisation plan, which I hope you might have a look at.
Yeah, this year we're trying to plan all of our events as soon as we can, just so they're ready to go to roll out as soon as the COVID levels allow. And in terms of kind of interacting with council, we hope to do a lot more of that this year as well. Obviously, a lot of it may have to be virtual, but yeah, we hope to do that a lot more, because I know the things I was involved with last year were really beneficial to me as well. Steph, sorry.
No, I just wanted to also add, Alison, that one of the goals that we have this year is to add bylaws and policy to our agenda once a month, so that we actually review what the council are doing, so the youth council are more aware of what's happening within the council environment, and they can actually make their submissions as well.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to click out of Zoom and read back to my agenda. So I can't see anyone else's hand. So if you want to talk, you'll have to speak up. Right. Acknowledging that we've just had the presentation from Zoe on their annual report, we then move to the Manawatu District Council, Youth Council Annual Report 2020-2021. So that I would like to hand over to Lynn.
And I'm going to do the honours and hand over to Janine, who actually knows what she's talking about, unlike myself. Janine.
Thank you, Lynn. Through you, Madam Chair. The report's self-explanatory. It outlines the reason why the performance report of the Manawatu Youth Council has come before the Manawatu District Council's Community Development Committee. So without further ado, if someone would like to consider the recommendation on page 11.
Shane.
Yeah, happy to do that. I'm just getting to page 11 now. That the Manawatu District Council annual performance report. That the Manawatu District Youth Council annual report for the year ending 30th of June 2021 be received. Sorry about that.
I'm happy to second that. So all those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Awesome. Well done, Zoe, and well done, Janine. It's been a pretty big year for the Youth Council, so keep it up. Hopefully these COVID times sort of don't hinder our progress too much in the community space in the coming year.
I do just have to pop off because I have school.
Yes, I was about to ask that, Zoe, but I can't find my Zoom bubble. So
thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
thank
See
you,
ya.
Zoe. Well done.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, now we move to page 16 of our agenda, the Community Development Priority Services. And I will throw this one over to Janine as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This report has come before the Community Development Committee as we are about to go out for our 3-year contract for priority services in April, with applications closing on the 30th of April. So just to ensure that the priority services are still relevant, that link to our community development strategy, it's an opportunity for council to review these. Now, they did go to the previous council workshop, but as we know, the workshop, they cannot make a decision. So this is starting the process to formalise the discussions that were held at that workshop. So you'll see on the attachment starting on page 19 of your agenda, these are the priority services which you'll see in the 4th column along, which link against the themes and the actions that relate to the community development strategy. And at the workshop that we had back in February, the council had gone through them, and I've noted and read where the changes have been made following that workshop. So we emphasised the fact, rather than talking about events, we also included the word opportunities, and we also included under the identity having community as one of the event opportunities rather than just cultural and sporting. So community has been included. And I believe that were all the changes that were made as a result of the workshop. But if there's any other changes that council members would like to see be made, then this is the opportunity to include them, because this recommendation would be going forward to next week's council meeting to get adopted.
Alison.
I don't think I was at the last council meeting of the year. I don't think I was there for the workshop. Just one little thing, a bugbear of mine, I start quite often. I don't like to see the word elderly. I would rather you said seniors. To me, elderly makes me think of someone 80 or 90, whereas seniors is 65 plus. It's through the document a number of times. If everyone else agrees.
Oh, I'm happy with that change. Alison, I completely agree. Or I think that's the word that we've been using as we look at the aging population strategy. So I think that probably is right that we use that going forward. Is that all right with you, Janine, to update that?
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I've noted that change to be made.
Cool. Did anyone else have anything to add to this discussion? I guess we were all there for the council workshop, so have been able to put in our input already. If there's no further discussion, I'm happy to put the recommendation forward that the council adopts the revised schedule of priority services which link to the actions contained within the community development strategy to assist the community development assessment panel in evaluating priority service proposals submitted by organisations for community development funding.
I'm happy to second that, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Shane. All those in favour?
Aye.
That was quite a long recommendation. Right, moving down in the agenda down to page 23, the Community Development Strategy Relationship and Liaison Report, and another one which we throw to Janine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a report on the meetings that have been held that I'm the representative for council and attend. So you'll see that for the period of 18 October to 11th February, there were 3 organisations that had meetings during that period: the Regional Integrated Network, the Social Issues Network Council of Social Services, and the Manawatu Health and Wellbeing Group. So these reports of meetings are attached for your information.
Were there any questions around these meetings which Janine has attended on our behalf? No significant.
Sorry, if I may, sorry about that, Madam Chair.
You go.
If I may ask a question through to Janine, just going up top, the Regional Interagency Network, I do note it's via Teams. Is it worth having an elected member come along to that? There are a lot of heavy hitters there in regards to OT and Kaironga Ora, etc. So I'm just sort of, where's the level of comfort, or is it more of an operational level component, Janine?
Through you, Madam Chair, I can answer that. There is actually 2 levels with the Regional Interagency Network, which Your Worship may be able to speak further to, because I understand, and I don't know whether that has continued with the new District Commissioner of the Ministry of Social Development, but it had with the previous. They used to come to the regional chairs and CE meetings to give an update at that higher strategic level. So the actual Regional Interagency Network that I attend is that's at operational level. It's the managers of organisations, and since Lynn has come on board, she will be also a representative of this particular network at all, because you sort of need some of the decision makers around the table. But some councils have chosen to have council representatives there, and you'd see that Horowhenua is one of those, and that's because they have a community wellbeing committee, which is predominantly made up of social service agency representatives rather than elected members. So Councillor Jo Mason, who sits on that particular committee, therefore comes along and attends these meetings as the spokesperson for council.
Helen.
Thank you. Yes, Janine's right. There was discussion and it was agreed to break it into 2 levels. And since with the COVID restrictions, etc., the mayors and elected members are meeting. We meet on a weekly basis. Every Friday morning, we're meeting with MSD and the DHB and iwi, and have regular updates and feedback and discussion from right around the region. So that's been working really well, particularly at the moment with what's going on out there. When we come out the other side, no doubt we'll go back to less frequent meetings, but it's working incredibly well at the moment.
Just out of interest, Helen, is there any significant key themes coming out of those meetings every week that MDC is contributing to, or is it fairly generic?
It's really just updates from MSD, the DHB, Wanganui, so it's central DHB and also the Wanganui DHB. So it's really an update and iwi about what's going on in each of those sectors. They also do go around each of the councils and ask us to give an update in general about what's going on, how the community are feeling, what are some of the issues. And surprise, surprise, we've all got very similar issues around the different councils. So, and then anything that comes out of that's significant, plus all their regular updates that come in by email, I forward those to the elected members.
Awesome. If there was no further discussion,
Yep.
Alison.
Was me, sorry. Manawatu Health and Wellbeing Group, I just, as the chair of that group, the November meeting, a lot of agencies shared their concern about whether or not the community was really prepared for COVID. So as a result of that meeting, we all fed in some information, and I'd like to thank Jeff Graham and Civil Defence for putting together the Preparing Yourself for COVID in the Manawatu brochure or poster in different places. I saw it at the health centre yesterday, but I particularly want to acknowledge the library. One of the things people were concerned about was how people would download their COVID passes. So after the meeting, I went round to the library, and Vicky was still there at that stage, and asked whether some of their digital champions might be able to assist, and they were happy to do that. At its height, they were getting 150 people a day coming in with a hand with their vaccine passes, and that first week the ministry website kept crashing. So I'd really like to acknowledge, Lynn, the work that the library did, and I've heard it mentioned at a number of places. I even heard one of the DJs on the radio commenting about it when I was driving one day, and I thought, oh, now everyone's going to ring up. So, and I believe Palmerston North Library did a similar thing, but that for a lot of particularly elderly people or people that I've challenged with IT, it was a relief that they could go and have some help with it.
Cool, that's really good news. Her worship.
Thank you. Yeah, totally agree with Alison. Well done to that team, because I raised that on a number of occasions following that meeting, Alison, that I didn't think that we were doing enough at DHB and MSD level to get people prepared, particularly prior to Christmas. You know, how many people knew that if you went away on holiday and got sick, particularly if you'd flown or gone on the ferry, you got diagnosed with COVID, you wouldn't be able to get home. And I don't think that message got out there enough, and to have a plan about how you were going to manage that. And I did raise it and I said, why aren't we doing that? And they were really, I couldn't get a reason out of them, but they were really reluctant to get to that level. They were just saying, tell people, refer them back to the website, which I thought was unfortunate. So I totally agree. Well done to the team, that the iwi, the group here had, they were already onto it. They adopted what Te Punu Kōkiri had worked on. The Fielding Health Centre had worked with them and come up with their own messaging. So again, it was about the community. We understand our community needs and we responded to it.
Any further discussion around that? Did someone want to move the motion on page 23? Or I'm happy
to do.
some-
I'll just find it. The reports from community groups for the period 18 October 2021 to 11 February 2022 be received for information.
Do I have a seconder? Helen? All those in favour say aye. Carried. Awesome. So now we go back to our agendas and we scroll down. To page 41. Just check that we're all there. All sorted on page 41. Okay, so this is the funding accountability reports to 11th of February 2022. Another one that I will throw over to Janine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This report is another one that it's just bringing before the committee for their information, the event, 3 event accountability reports and 1 community development accountability report that has been received in the reporting period. And this is a result of the delegated authority which council had given to the assessment panel to make a decision on council's behalf on some of the decisions that have been made. And this is a report that comes through just to get the Community Development Committee to actually see the outcomes from some of that funding towards some of those events or services that have been provided. So those 4 reports are provided for your information, and I have included further detail on 3.1 in regards to the amount of funding that was requested and that they actually received, as well as how the approval process went. In some instances, it was a full assessment panel, and in others, it was under the delegated authority given to the General Manager of Community and Strategy at the time. So if there's any questions, otherwise the report's self-explanatory.
Do we have any questions around that report? I agree, it is fairly self-explanatory. If there is no questions, I'm happy to move the recommendation on page 41 that the Community Development Committee receives and notes the following 4 accountability reports: the Fielding IAMP Association, Ringi O2 Memorial Hall Society, Building Christian Leaders Network, and the Community Development Fund Accountability Report for Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Manawatu. Do I have a second?
Happy to second
Shane?
that, Madam Chair, thank you.
All those in favour? Carried. Awesome. Sorry, I'm just trying to get down my agenda. Right. Obviously, everyone else has made it there quicker than me, but I think we're looking at page number 76 of our agenda, the schedule of funding applications to 11th of February 2022. That's seems to be the right one. Janine, would you like to discuss this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I will take you to page 78, in particular 3.4. In there, I've noticed that there were 15 applications that were received during the reporting period that were considered in accordance with the community development policy. But there was also one further application which was received to the event fund, which was approved by the Chief Executive under his delegated authority. And that application was for the New Zealand Rural Games Trust, or from the Rural Games Trust, for the 2022 Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. So I've included that for transparency in regards to the distribution of funding from the event fund. And I've made reference in 3.6 due to the COVID restrictions, particularly the red traffic light under this current system. We have seen a number of events that have been cancelled that have had an impact on some of the applications that were previously approved. So we're working our way through the refund process. The executive leadership team had considered a request that came through from the New Zealand Rural Games Trust and made the decision that they would not seek the $20,000 refund that they received, because the New Zealand Rural Games Trust, as was explained at last week's council meeting, they did not receive or were unable to apply to the Ministry of Business and Innovation's insurance that they put in place for major events, because their event was not a ticketed an event, so they therefore did not qualify. But they did sustain quite a large amount of expense in leading up to the games being cancelled, and along with other local authorities that did contribute towards the games, they had opted to not seek a refund. So the decision of the executive leadership team of council was in keeping with what other councils were doing in this space. So in regards to, if I take you to the schedule, which you'll find on page 80, listed there all the applications, the amount they applied for and the amount that was approved, or in one instance was declined. And I have done a spreadsheet update, and as a result of some of the events that were cancelled for the representative fund, we show on the schedule that the representative fund is currently sitting at, I'll just get that, it's currently sitting at $10,000 is the amount of remaining as a result of refunds that have come in to date. That's now sitting at $11,000. We've had $1,000 of applications that have come in and been refunded, but there's still another 2,000 to come in, which we're just waiting. So once that comes in, I'll be able to update that schedule for the April meeting. In regards to the event fund, we have had a couple of events that did not use as much money as what was needed. We have had a response from the Bolton Sculptural Festival to say that they are cancelling their festival, but their funding was tagged for marketing and publicity. So their $15,000, we won't be getting a refund because it's all been spent on that item. There's a couple of events that have been postponed, and one of those was the Te Manawa Family Services was holding a white ribbon anti-bullying street party that was meant to have been done in November, but due to the restrictions that we were under in the previous orange zone, they're going to hold that later in the year, and they're aware that if it doesn't take place by the end of the year, that they would need to refund the $880 that they received. And of course, the event fund that went for the rural games, the decision had already been made that no funding would come to light. There's another event that was meant to have been held back in September when we were in lockdown, and that was the Kawakawa Kahui Aku, which is the it's like a conference of bringing all the schools together, and that was supposedly going to be put off until March this year. Speaking to the organisers, they're hoping to hold it before the end of the financial year, but they're also aware that if it's not held before the 30th of June, that the funding of $6,000 would need to be returned to council. Another event that has been cancelled, which council contributed to, was the bringing the New Zealand House and Garden tour to the Manawatu region, and that was going to be coinciding with the Central District Field Days the weekend following. And the event funding that we contributed towards as a council was jointly funded by the Pumsel City Council and CEDA. And the funding that we provided was to actually bring the event to the Manawatu region as opposed to actually having the event itself. So the three parties to that funding have, as long as it's guaranteed to come back to the region when it's allowed to, then we weren't seeking our 10,000, and we've had assurance from staff that that will definitely be the case. The New Zealand House and Garden, with their memorandum of understanding, will bring the tour back here to the Manawatu next year. So that's another one that we haven't sought for any funding to come through. The other event that was cancelled was the Dahlia Day Gala Garden Party, which was meant to be held at Kowhai Park on next weekend. That was being cancelled, and some of the funding was used for promotional and marketing. So we did receive a refund of $798. So that came through during the period. So our current balance for the event fund with the refunds that we have received is currently sitting at $18,319.20. So if there's any questions.
Well, I guess it's a bit of a shame really that COVID's sort of disrupting all the plans for both our representative fund and our event fund, but I guess hopefully once things open back up, we can use that money to help our community get the ball rolling again. Shane, I see you had your hand up. Were you wanting to say something, or were you just itching? No.
Just to probably echo your words, that it is really sad that a number of events have had to postpone. It's quite frustrating.
And I guess with our funding, it is a risk that we take that the event's going to be cancelled. I mean, we are providing them with the opportunity to market their event, and they've used the funds, and that is totally understandable that we aren't able to get a lot of those funds back. So, I mean, in that instance, it's a loss that we probably have to take as a council because of the current climate. So did anyone else, Steve, did you have anything to add to the discussion? Anyone else? Helen?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree that the climate isn't good for events, etc. But I think what we need to be mindful of and be proactive is when we come out the other side of this is encouraging our community. We need to go out with some really good comms through our community committees and to the community about how important it is for people to reconnect and the well-being of our people, and really encouraging people to find ways to do that, and without putting it out there that we've got, because we don't have a mountain of money, but that council would case by case consider contributing to the cost of some of those options. We'd have to word it carefully, but I think we can be really proactive in this space when we come out the other end.
Totally. Did I have a mover for the motion on page 76?
Yeah, I'll move that, Heather.
Thanks, Steve. Did you want to read it out, or are you happy just to move it?
No, I just move it. Thanks. I'd have to flick back to it.
No, fair enough. Did we have a seconder? Her worship,
Yeah, I could, yeah.
all those in favour?
Right.
Carried. Awesome. Well, that was a very brief meeting, to be fair. We have no late items, and therefore I declare the meeting closed at 13 minutes past 9.
Oh, Madam Chair, could I say something? I apologise for my late. I actually completely forgot, and I got Helen's text, and I come in, and I'm sorry I'm late, but it was good that I actually was close enough to the house to come back in. Thank you.
Well, we haven't taken up too much of your morning then, Steve. That's all right. Her worship.
Scott, you're on mute, son.
Darn it. Being our first Community Development Committee meeting for the year, I think we should record the resignation of Councillor Humphrey as chair of this committee, and thank her for the work that she's done, particularly in the strategy work that's been done, and thank her for that work, and also your appointment to chair.
Steph, are you okay to put that through the minutes? Thank you, Helen. Good point. Lynn.
Thank you. Heather, I'd just like to congratulate you as being the chair of this committee. This is the first time I've attended the committee as well. I just want to acknowledge your chairmanship of the meeting. And the other comment that I was going to make is, does everybody know how to use the tabs down the side of your laptop so that it makes it easy to go to each of the reports? If not, we can do some training